For the final part of the session, what are some of the challenges? There's probably a lot of reservations or concerns in terms of the platform is part of it, but we know that there's a lot of change management, the content that we need in order to support it. There's how do we get customers engaged, and that value tracking component, how is that actually done? We understand the challenges and just present a little bit on how we're helping to mitigate that. The first core one is around content. Ecosystem's philosophy is you can't start with a blank template, that upon first activating the platform, that it comes with an initial set of outcomes around the business outcomes that B2B technology providers offer. We also learned and recognized that Net Promoter Score, there is not a more ubiquitous way in which companies go out and use to gauge how happy are my customers. And it was actually Bain & Company who created that protocol. And then years later, Bain & Company went the next step, and they said, what is the anatomy of NPS? And so Bain & Company, through research and a study of 1,000 different organizations, broke down and said, here is the exhaustive list. At the bottom on the right there, we have more of the table stakes. Yeah, it has to reduce costs and it has to give me ROI. But really in terms of the holistic view of buyers of B2B technologies, what they care about, here is that full taxonomy, and here's that exhaustive list, and in a hierarchy form where the higher you go, these are things that really have more of an influence. Once a customer appreciates the value that you're providing them in 6 of these areas, that's where there's a real, move the needle, a real exponential difference in terms of the Net Promoter Score and the customer's likelihood of repurchase. In a partnership Ecosystems has with Bain, this now is actually folded in as the taxonomy and the structure for the platform. And their research goes even a step further, where it's not just what are those elements of value that the buyers care about, but by role. So now we're looking at it for an IT infrastructure buyer, these are the things that he or she cares about the most. It doesn't matter what they're buying. Those providers on this phone, maybe security, maybe cloud, at the bottom, these are common solution areas and B2B technology as a service providers, and each of you on the phone, it may fall into these buckets or similar buckets, and there's nuances to your offering and how you compete. And so out of the gate, Ecosystems provides you a template around what is the type of business value from these offerings as a launch point that you then refine based on your enterprise. Now, if we refer back again to the top, these buyers, they don't care if they're investing in cloud or security or business process automation or devices, or this is what they care about. And so the challenge for you as providers and where Ecosystems and Gainsight want to support is, how do you help us connect those dots? The platform in terms of, it's that around the solution, and let me build out my value proposition and a little more kind of my comfort zone around my solution. But then it's also connecting those dots between your offerings and what trumps everything. And that is what the buyer's universal view in terms of the true strategic objective they care about. And now let's put that elegance in how you align. So long way of saying that, yes, content is always a challenge, but both in terms of default templates as well as this best practice taxonomy, that this is something that gets you immediately upon install, gets you out of the gate with initial content, and then the controls and the best practices on how to turn that into the customer-facing conversation. When it comes to change management and skill sets, and again, I know this is something very common for those on the phone. Yeah, we've got inside sales, I've got people who get this, people who don't. We understand. And so be it in terms of the integration, if I'm a seller, I'm on an opportunity. If I'm CSM, I'm in Gainsight, the guided selling automation, the flows, that's a big sensitivity for us. And so at the end, we're going to give the contact information around how do I get more information on demonstration or how to activate the solution. And this is obviously an area where we're happy to give more clarity. The customer engagement, it's not just sales and customer success, but the customer directly, the product team, finance, procurement, that multi-authoring component within the platform, and making sure this is democratized to that larger audience, especially the customer. And then the final is that actionable value tracking. A lot of times immediately, we don't have the luxury of the actuals, but we've got a great platform in Gainsight. We've got great visibility to other dynamics in terms of adoption and solution capabilities. And now allow me to turnkey take those and use those as an overlay to, what is the pain of not having the full adoption? What is the business pain of not leveraging all the full capabilities? A massive strength of Gainsight that we're looking to further leverage and provide continuity with that pre-sale conversation.